Welcome to USA Global TV and Radio, where our mission is to provide education, entertainment, hope, and inspiration. USA Global TV and Radio connects you with experts and audiences all around the world every single day to help you succeed in business and to live a richer life. Visit us at usaglobaltv.com to learn about career and life-changing training and mentoring programs like the Listening Mentor. Subscribe to our newsletter to stay informed about our special programs and offers. Discover how you can become a guest on one of our shows or a host or producer of a USA Global TV and Radio show of your very own. That's USA Global TV and Radio, where the doctor is always in.
Howdy, all y'all. This is Red O'Loughlin on the USA Global TV and Radio Network in participation with the E360 TV Network. And we are talking heads today, and our program is about wellness, hot topics, and trends, primarily for 2023 and what's heading into 2024. With that being said, let me pull up the slides for today so we can get started. There we go. It's the first one. As a disclaimer, I'm not a doctor, never have been, never worked in the pharmaceutical industry. I fell in love with chemistry in high school. Just for whatever reason, it just clicked in my mind, and I ended up getting a degree in it. Unable at that point in time to become a chemist because I got an invitation to Vietnam. By the time I got back, so much had happened that I ended up going down a different path for a career. But it wasn't that many years ago, less than 10 right now, that my wife came down with breast cancer, and I was forced, really by my own diligence, to find out what could I do to help her overcome some of the side effects from the chemo and other things that were going on. So I started pulling my chemistry mindset back and said, what's going on in the body? When this happens, what caused that to happen? What caused that to happen? So I look for cause and effect relationships. I research the human body at the cellular level, chemically speaking. I look for that cause and effect relationship. You treat a cause, you can generally fix a problem. You treat symptoms, and you'll always be treating symptoms. It's putting a Band-Aid on after Band-Aid after Band-Aid. Nothing really changes. When we're talking about health and wellness, health is our current condition. That's the level that our body is from a health perspective. But wellness is all those things that we do to achieve and maintain that level of health. And our health and our wellness is our responsibility. As always, the presentations on Talking Heads is always for awareness and education. So let's go ahead. Wellness, it's basically the act of practicing daily health habits. Some habits are better than others. Some habits are constantly changing. You know, what was in vogue 3 years ago, you can't even find much anymore. But the wellness that you are practicing is based on your choices, your intentions, and your actions. We started talking, in fact, we ended up talking last week about plant-based foods and drinks. And we talked about Whole Foods doing a full consumer shift where they're buying everything they're looking at is shifting more. Yeah, there's still Whole Foods, but they want the awareness to be away from processed foods. They're looking for alternatives, the natural things. And so you end up with a lot of products that typically may not have had the word natural on it, or all vegetarian, or whatever it may happen to be. And we're seeing more and more advertising, more and more marketing into these alternative meat burgers, alternative seafood, alternative everything. I was walking a woman in front of me yesterday at the grocery store. She put some pasta there on the deal, and I said something about being a vegetarian only pasta. Well, you know, I think people look for reasons to put things on things, and if somebody's looking for the word vegetarian or natural or whatever, they're going to go there. But cacao is one that's expanded quite a bit. Buckwheat, particularly because it's anti-inflammatory without the gluten, is a big item. We're seeing a lot of things being look like beef, sort of taste like beef, and that's being advertised as an alternate to that meat red meat, basically, environment that we typically see in stores. When I buy things, I usually look for organic. I look for no antibiotics, no, a lot of things. I'm looking at the labels. I'm also looking at the label on the back of the food. But we're starting to see a lot more plant-based beef, plant-based fish. We're seeing a focus on sustainability. In other words, what kinds of foods can I get that I'm conserving water in the process of them being grown? We're seeing a significant increase in the use of spices over the last 3 years. We're converting existing food, something that may have been just a simple box ingredient. And if you do this and this and this to it, now you're elevating it to a more of a chef-worthy food or meal. We're seeing in Europe, you see 5, 6, 7, 8 items on a label on the back of a product. That's it. In America, you'll see a dozen, 2 dozen easily without fail. And the same product, same company, exact same thing. Why do they need the extra dozen and a half items in the United States? I don't know. Obviously, it costs more money, but for whatever reason, that's what they do. This is where we left off last week. We were starting to talk about health. As we're starting getting more and more into that vegan, vegetarian, everything plant-based, we start running into some issues that are of concern. One particular one is B12. B12 comes from meat. I mean, it's not in a plant environment. You're going to have to take a pill. And the problem with pills is if you just take the pill and swallow it, the cobalamin, which is a B12, they usually see in the ones you swallow, it's a cyanocobalamin. It's destroyed by gastric juice, your stomach acid. So you have to put it under the tongue and let it dissolve into the tongue to get into the bloodstream. And that is your, not cyano, it's, lost it for a second. But anyway, the one that dissolves under the tongue is the one that you really need. But when you start having B12 deficiencies over a long period of time, anemia, gastritis, stroke, Crohn's, celiac, a lot of issues are there with B12 deficiency. Also noticed a much higher risk for depression and anxiety over time. Again, a higher risk of bone density issues. Bone density is usually determined by magnesium and calcium. They're available in the plant kingdom, but when you start getting the other things you need, the vitamin D3, sunlight vitamin, but then when you start getting to the K2, now you're starting to get into organ meats and into dairy and some other things that generally a vegan lifestyle is not going to support. So as we start looking at the strict adherence to a vegan or vegetarian, they also start seeing a higher risk of eating disorders. Lots and lots of things are going on out there. People choose to be a vegan, choose to be a vegetarian, or there's a dozen intermediate ones in there where fish is allowed and not allowed in dairy, et cetera. We're not going to go into that today. But people that adapt a particular lifestyle, it's not saying they can't do it. There's reasons why they do. But they got to be very, very careful about having a total nutrient balance. They need to know what are they missing, where are they going to get it from? Is that vitamin or mineral a really good one? If you're trying to get calcium and it says calcium carbonate, in most cases you take that and it's going to end up in the toilet. If you're looking for vitamin E, there's 8 different molecules that make up vitamin E. The one they usually give you in a pill is a synthetic, and it's not worthwhile at all. You really need all 8, but they're not available in one product. So there's just a lot of things from a vegan vegetarian lifestyle that you really need to know more than the average bear about getting that balanced nutrition, keeping the hormones balanced in your body. You need to know the good and the bad, and you need to know them without even thinking. You pick up a label, yes or no, just boom, because you know. A lot of high risk elements come with settling on those kinds of things. Nothing wrong with it. It's just that you are now subjecting yourself to more education, more awareness of what is really and truly good for you and how do you maintain it. Another hot topic, syncing your sleep cycle with your circadian rhythm. Well, never knew I could do that. So I started looking into this one. Circadian rhythm is what's affected by sunlight. Now, if the sunlight comes out at zero dark 30 in the morning and is there until real late at night. Let's say you're living in Alaska or someplace, you have long periods of daylight and then long periods of dark. Uh, I live in Texas. We have a fairly long, hot summer daylight wise, but wintertime again is regulated. So if you're trying to regulate something that's regulated by sunlight, that's a little difficult to do because the sun changes on a daily basis is how much you're getting. Now in the wintertime, it kind of moderates to a certain level. In the middle of summertime, it moderates to a certain level, but you can't just start changing your time you go to sleep on the light switch, boom. So a lot of health concerns when you start looking at extreme um, daytime environments, sleepiness, decreased alertness, memory issues, decision-making problems. These are all brought on by the fact that you're not necessarily getting the quality of sleep that you need when you're going to sleep. So it's almost as if the sunlight issue becomes a stress that's not managed in the body. Uh, if we're going to reset our sleep cycle to our circadian rhythm, then there's several things that must be in alignment. And some of those things are getting more exposure to the sun earlier in the day. Well, sometimes you're driving the car to work and it's dark, and you get to work and it's dark, and boom, you don't have that early morning sun exposure. Uh, so that's one of the things to be aware of. If you're going to go to bed and it's the middle of summer and you're trying to maintain some level of circadian rhythm, that you're setting your clock to go to bed at a certain time, maybe you need to start darkening ship about 3 hours before bedtime. So if it's light in your area until 8 p.m. and you want to be in bed by 9, maybe you need to have that extra hour or so of darkness in there. Um, if you have a habit of going to bed at a certain time, let's say it's 10 o'clock at night, well, maybe during the middle of the winter, I need to change that a little bit. What the experts say is shift your wake up or your go to bed time by half hour. That's something that's fairly easy to manage, but you have to do it for a week. And then let's say you want to make it from 10, you go to bed at 9:30. Do that for a week, go to bed at 9 o'clock. If you're going to get up at 8 o'clock in the morning and you've been getting up there and you need to get up at 7:30, do that for a week before you start shifting. So a half hour adjustment seems to be a fairly easy thing to regulate, a fairly easy thing to do. But by doing that, you can, in fact, align your sleep cycle with their circadian rhythm. Now, uh, you the issue with changing your sleep and wake times can affect your health. In fact, if you are let's say, what do you call it, a person who works the graveyard shift and you're coming off work at 8 o'clock in the morning, you're sleeping during the day, or you're getting ready to go to work late in the afternoon, and just lots of things with work has a tendency to change the actual time. You're no longer having a habit of going to bed or waking up at a certain time. It can be done, but if they found out that if you have a 90-minute change over a week period of time, that if that happens with some level of consistency, there's a 200% increase in cardiovascular disease in about a 5-year period of time. So yes, graveyard shift is a hard one to work. Going to, on the late afternoon shift till midnight is a hard one to work. Lots of things can happen in there, but when you start changing that and maintaining it for a long period of time, it can affect your health. It also affects metabolic issues in the body. You start storing more fat. You become more insulin sensitive. That receptivity to insulin becomes an issue that causes obesity down the road. Major problem that we mentioned earlier with mental alertness and everything, is the body repairs itself. If you've been out working, running, exercising, that first hour or so of sleep, when you get into that really deep sleep, that's when the body does the majority of its repairs to its muscles and everything else. And if that's not getting implemented properly because you're eating late at night or you're indulging in a lot of extra alcohol or something, you disrupt that cycle. You do it enough, you start disrupting your health. So big issue there. Wellness travel, we used to call it vacation, but nowadays there are resorts that cater to wellness, and they have a wellness resort, a wellness retreat. But since the beginning of the pandemic, we're seeing a 30% increase in people wanting to go on these wellness, not just a vacation to someplace, but they want to end up going to a place that specializes in wellness. And the 30% increase at the beginning of pandemic, because of travel restrictions and everything cut off. They're starting to see a return, even though this is 3 years old. The return to wellness travel is starting there, and it's a major. I mean, vacation is probably one of the best stress reducers out there. But if you get into a stress reduction environment where not only is it a vacation, but they're also looking after your exercise and your foods and all the other programs that are set up, then there are things that are really and truly major benefits for stress reduction. A lot of the focus on wellness travel, these resorts are starting to become inclusive. I went to my first inclusive resort not that long ago in Dominican Republic. I'd never been to one before, and I fell in love with it. I would definitely go back to an all-inclusive resort where everything's paid for in advance, and all the food, all the drink, everything is there is part of the tab. You already paid for it. So when you look at a wellness inclusive one, everything is set there, so it's all inclusive. Uh, Wellness retreats, they break the monotony. And you have a 50 weeks a year that you're going to school, taking care of the kids, going to work, whatever that routine is, that vacation, that focus on wellness breaks the monotony of all those things going on. Generally speaking, we see wellness broken into 6 or 8 or 9 different categories. I picked the 6 here just to have them, but they got a few others that are out there. But occupational, emotional, physical, social, intellectual, and spiritual. So if you're looking at an inclusive wellness retreat, they generally try to address the emotional, the physical, the social, intellectual, spiritual on some occasions. Occupational is one that's, again, you're taking a vacation from work, so that is the aspect of that one. But wellness travel addresses generally 4 or 5 out of the 6 there. Um, Wellness anxiety increases. Now, what is wellness anxiety? You want something and you're not getting it. That anxiety is starting, it's like happiness and unhappiness. You have a certain expectation. Well, when you do a wellness travel, your whole focus is, I want to go there. I want to be able to improve my ability to improve my health. Well, the wellness are the actions you take to improve that health. And let's say that something happens, you miss a flight, the luggage isn't there. Lots of things can happen. And in some small cases, they call it wellness anxiety. Things didn't quite happen the way that you wanted to. So it's, again, like stress. What happens, let it be, let it bounce off you. Don't reach a hold and grab one and don't let go. But if you do end up with this wellness anxiety for whatever reason, because you just can't get adjusted, it leads to many of the diseases that you see similar in stress. But the big trade-off is that if you're not getting the wellness that you need, and your unhappiness level, your depression, your anxiety starts to go up, there's a trade-off. Your doctor's going to give you some SSRIs, serotonin, something receptor increase. Anyway, it's a particular medication, antidepressant, something that you probably don't want. If you're really interested in health and wellness, you probably want to avoid the pills. And so that anxiety issue is one that is there. And again, from an awareness perspective, most of the time we never see it, but it's a side effect that we might want to be aware of. Mindful drinking. What exactly is that? Essentially, what it says, thinking before you're drinking. So I'm having a glass of wine or a shot of alcohol or whatever it may happen to be. Uh, Maybe mindful thinking as a hot topic or trend is that I give it a little bit of thought before I actually order the drink or before it's sitting in front of me, and I start ruminating. What's the benefit? What's the detriment of this? Well, I've had a long, hard day, alcohol, good stress relief, boom. And so I'm enjoying my stress relief. Maybe it's at a bar. I can have a couple of those. I'm looking at a ball game. I'm looking at having fun with my friends, my coworkers, whatever. But when you're looking at a mindful aspect of drinking, it's keeping awareness of how much you're drinking, how often you're drinking. So if you were to pause with each drink and question, why do I need this next one? You know, would I be just as happy with a glass of water, um, bubbly or not? Would I be just as happy with a Diet Coke? Do I need to switch off between having my alcohol with a soft drink or iced tea or something else where I'm no longer getting the full amount of alcohol in the body, but I'm still out drinking and having a good time? You know, maybe you have a drink that one time has the alcohol in it. The next time you get a drink that looks exactly like it and it doesn't have the alcohol in it, and you switch off back and forth. Some say that the 20-minute rule might be a good thing, that you allow 20 minutes from the time you finish your drink before you order another drink. That way, by the time that you actually drink that drink, you know, you have another 20 minutes or so. So you're getting closer to almost an hour in between drinks. If you're switching off to something non-alcoholic, it's very easy to do. But it's knowing your limits. What occasion are you at? Are you at a wedding? Are you at, you know, just a weekend event that you're after work and just getting together with some friends? What kind of alcohol are you drinking? The preferred method is drink everything out of a glass. You know, you have a bottle of beer, get a cold glass, put it in the glass. Never drink shots. You know, you see people, particularly in movies, not something that it's you're getting too much alcohol too fast, and the next shot comes sooner than you want. So monitor your time. Also monitor your language and the actions that are going on. You end up with a little bit extra alcohol, a lot of things there that can happen, and you really don't need to be in that environment. Our bodies process about 1 ounce an hour. And believe it or not, there are a lot of phone apps out there that will allow you to kind of dial in, okay, this is what I have, and boom, okay, now I can have another drink. Turns out that when you look at the list of things, what is the easiest thing for your liver to handle? Well, turns out light beer and red wine are the two easiest on your liver. Not saying that you should be overdoing either one, but if you're going to pick something, you know, that's better than a shot of tequila or a shot of vodka or bourbon. Over drinking for a long period of time, we're talking years, decades, a lot of health issues, a lot of cardiovascular disease, stroke, a lot of liver issues, some digestive problems that can lead to cancers. A lot of problems out there when the awareness goes out the door and it just becomes a habit and you don't think about it anymore. So when we're in mindful drinking, and the same thing applies to eating, we want to know, what are we doing? When are we doing it? Why are we doing it? And then once we solve those three questions, then we take that next step. Another thing is coming up here. It's called assisted stretching. Now, this is something you lay there and somebody else does all the work. So another person, skilled person, is somebody who will actually sit there and move your body back and forth. It's like a massage. Somebody is working on you to improve your mobility, to improve your flexibility, reduce stress. In some cases, it decreases pain and stiffness, just like a massage does, but sometimes there's a little bit of pain that has to go through there before it actually happens. But the assisted stretching is a big deal. And if you can find a really good person, they can move your bodies in places where you can't do it yourself. And that's the advantage, the fact that somebody can manipulate your leg, your arm, your back, your torso in a way that you don't have the ability to do by yourself. Facial yoga. Mentioned that in kind of a lighthearted tone way back when. But this is a series of facial expressions or exercises. I went onto YouTube today and looked at a few of the videos there. And yeah, there are actually quite a few. But there's a half a dozen, maybe less, that are a basic set of, 4, 5, or 6 facial yoga exercises that can be done on a daily basis. They end up with better circulation, stronger face muscles. In other words, your skin is more toned. You have fewer lines, fewer wrinkles. It makes you look younger than you are. So that's a major, major advantage on facial yoga. Go to YouTube, check it out. And we're going to get back down here now toward the end. Those are the topics for the next couple weeks. And okay. The USA Global TV and Radio Network has an archive on YouTube. The Talking Heads part, got my name, Red O'Laughlin, Talking Heads. And we've talked about a number of different heart health, nutrition, stress, toxin, lots and lots and lots of things. Most of these are a 6-week program. A couple of them are 8 weeks. We do a 40-minute show. Lately, we're in conjunction and participation with the E360 TV network. We're doing a 26-minute show because it's being fed into a different network, different time slots, so I have to be accommodating for that. But most of the rest are about 30-minute segments. And we talk about a lot of things there. But if you want to focus on something, let's say that somebody in your family has Alzheimer's or somebody you know. I wrote a book called Understanding the Causes of Alzheimer's. There's more than just the plaque in the brain and the tau tangles. There's a lot of things there. I just wrote a blog on ferroptosis, which is iron killing the neurons at the end of your neurons. But what I did was I took about 40 or so of the articles that I've written primarily during the pandemic, put them together in one book. A lot of information there, a lot of things you can talk to your doctor about, saying, hey, what doc, why don't we try this? It may be something as simple as getting a pill for phosphatidylserine to something else that's just as easy to do. But that's one of 5 books that I have there you can find on my website at redolaughlin.com or looking me up on the Amazon. So with that being said, I'm turning it back over to the USA Global TV and Radio Network and to the E360 TV network. I will catch you all next week. And yes, there will be a show next week on Thanksgiving. Take care now. Bye.
USA Global TV and Radio, in partnership with Dr. Jacqueline LLC, present Amazon #1 best-selling author, Dr. Jacqueline Kerbeck. Dr. Jacqueline Kerbeck is a certified life, career, and executive coach who teaches people how to listen at an elevated level through her courses and her books. Dr. Kerbeck teaches her clients how to open their hearts and express themselves through their creative genius. In her children's book series, The Amazing Adventures of Lady Ella, The Listening Mentor, Dr. Kerbeck teaches children and their families how to listen at an elevated level. Dr. Kerbeck has worked with clients across the world to guide them in how to express themselves and communicate at a highly effective level. Join our team of elevated listeners so you can listen without judgment, without providing a solution, without interruption, and without stealing the stage. To order your books today, go to drjacqueline.com or Amazon.
Hello everyone, I'm Simon MacDonald. I live in the West Highlands of Scotland, a very beautiful part of the world. Seems a long way from the USA Global TV station. But remember, USA Global TV is worldwide. It's a fantastic platform. And every Wednesday, I come along here as part of the show of the United Kingdom News and Culture. And it's just like a family reunion each time. It's one of these amazing stations that has such a beautiful, friendly, and intelligent atmosphere as well. And we reach out to an audience in the most unimaginable places. And I came here, I don't know, must be over a year ago now. I was introduced by Dr. Philip Chan, and I met Ian Plum-Turner and Helena Chard, who are co-presenters on the show. And then Diane Floyd-Bem came along as well. And I mean, the 5 of us, Dr. Jacqueline, of course, who is our host and our mentor, has just made this show work so well. Tremendous people, lovely time we have, and we impart a lot of information, a lot of knowledge. Nothing's rehearsed. It's all done off the cuff, and it all just gels. And we get great feedback from people coming back and saying how they're enjoying the show. It's lovely to hear, and it's lovely to get that interaction from outside as well. And we're all listeners, and some of us are elevated listeners as well. So we enjoy every second of it, and we hope you do too.
This program is brought to you in part by the British School of Excellence and founder, Mr. Philip Sykes. Building confidence, changing lives. Do you share our view that etiquette is a set of modern life skills that are essential for personal and professional success? Join us as an etiquette coach and change people's lives through the power of etiquette and manners.
The last few days have been really amazing. I had a trainer course from the British School of Etiquette.
And I must say it's been one of the best decisions I've ever made and one of the best investments I've made in my own training and development.
Now, words alone will not describe the transformation and the positive path that I have traveled with the British School of Etiquette.
I find really I learned a lot from the lessons this time I came.
The last few days with the British School of Etiquette have been fantastic.
And what I've learned now is really beyond my expectations.
This is the most rewarding experience and the best investment I have made this year.
It was just great. I learned so much, and when I go back to Belgium I will incorporate a lot of it into my day-to-day life and business.
It's been absolutely wonderful for the whole week that we were here.
I feel transformed, and I feel like blowing a trumpet and tell people, come and do this school, this class is the best, this is the best school ever.
You should take it. It will change your life immediately.
I am now able to teach other people how to bring the best of them.
Thank you.
Thank you, BSc.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you to our clients for their testimonials on the Train the Trainer program. Our exponential and global growth is so significant that we've evolved from the British School of Etiquette to the British School of Excellence, where we're investors in people. Let us invest in you and your career. Contact us to become an etiquette coach. Go to thebritishschoolofexcellence.com. Start your career and elevate your success today. This program has been brought to you in part by Zane Carson Carruth, etiquette and protocol expert, international award-winning author, television show host, and philanthropist. Thank you to Zane, our official diamond sponsor for USA Global TV and Radio in partnership with E360 TV. Zane is the author of The World's First Tooth Fairy Ever, as well as many other children's books. She's also the television host of Elegance, Polished Demeanor, and Posh Living, seen on USA Global TV and Radio.
Hi, my name is Zane Carson Carruth, and I'm the author of this book, The World's First Tooth Fairy Ever.
Reading is magic. Studies have shown that reading to your children lays the foundation for greater success in life. Reading helps develop language and vocabulary skills. It helps improve memory, and it encourages curiosity and inspires creativity. The benefits are immeasurable, and as a parent, you'll benefit too. In only 10 or 15 minutes a day, you'll be creating more memories and a bonding experience that will last for years to come. So take time to read to your children. Read them books about things that engage and interest them. Tales of fairies and magic fascinate children, and as everyone knows, the Tooth Fairy is at the top of the list. If your child loves magic, wands, adventure, and what child doesn't, you'll love reading them books from the trademarked series The World's First Tooth Fairy Ever. Follow along as Abella, the world's first tooth fairy, accidentally starts the tooth fairy tradition. Learn the tricks of being a professional tooth fairy in the book Abella Starts a Tooth Fairy School. Your child's imagination will soar as you read the adventures of Abella and her magic wand. These wonderful books are available at worldsfirsttoothfairy.com and at Amazon, Barnes & Noble, and Walmart.
To learn more about Zane, contact her through her website, zanecarruth.com. ZANECARRUTH.com. Order Zane's books and merchandise. Contact her about being a keynote speaker at your next event.